What would per se do to overcome that?
Okay, I'm going to answer that question first. Now that's a tough one, okay? The 8 demands don't actually address that sort of cheating. I mean, that is out and out cheating and criminal, okay? What he's talking about is registering foreigners, giving them citizenships and then registering them as voters. Project M, it was called during this time in Sabah. And apparently we have received reports that that is happening. But unfortunately, that is something, if you hear about or you see, really all we can do is keep our eyes and ears open. And if something like that happens, and I can see it happening on Twitter, people saying, I've seen one busload of people going here and there, everybody watch out, and people are sending in eye reports of such situations. So that's the best we can do, is really to be absolutely, aware that this is something. We have to keep our eyes and ears open. I'm afraid that's the best we can do. The 8 demands don't actually address that kind of cheating. Now, your question on the opposition, yes, that was the criticism that was thrown at us. Let me start by saying that when we announced the rally, we invited all political parties to join us. And quite frankly, if the government had joined us, it would have been wonderful for them, actually, because they would have the youth. They would be marching with the youth of the country. They chose not to do that. So that's their choice. The opposition chose to support us. Now, is that any surprise? Are you surprised that the opposition is supporting us in our quest for free and fair elections? Because they claim, and we received those reports, that the election is not clean. So of course they would support us. It would be silly of them not to support us. But it was not just the opposition that supported us, it was, and don't forget they're not opposition in a few states, they're the government. Now, if they actually, they are also citizens of the country, so why shouldn't they support us? And apart from that, we had NGOs supporting us. We had civil society support. In fact, a huge civil society groups. We have 80 coalition members now, okay, of Bersih. So it was really a huge mix of people, and we made it very clear that on the day, no one was to wear insignia of their political parties or banners or anything. It was entirely a Rakyat movement. And it was. On that day, it was. Now, as to your second question, so I hope I answered that question when I said, that, yeah, of course, I didn't die of shock that they were supporting me. Your second question, what will Pakistan do when they come? I have no idea, because, but I will hold them to the same standard, and we must hold them to the same standard that we expect of the government. We hold all parties. If they don't deliver, they will be out as well. And I can tell you this, that's the way it should be. The power should be with us, not with them. We should decide. And it is only when that power comes back to us, to the citizens of the country, do you have a real working democracy. And which is why I say we haven't come to a point where we can accept, or rather the government can accept an opposition, because 54 years in power, you see, and they've only had Lim Kit Siang. So, and what a man, huh? I mean, he took them on by himself. So for them to get used to having an opposition it's taken them a long time. It happened in the 2008 elections, but they're going to have to get used to it, I'm sorry, because that is what we want. We want a strong government and we want a strong opposition, because that is what is best for the country.
I think we have time for just 2 more questions, and up to the very fact there's 2 people who have had their hands up to the point that they're probably have meaningful help. In the green and in the black jacket, the 2 people standing. Thank you. Yes, the green, yes. And the black, those 2 people. They're fairly obvious. No, up the back. Maybe we'll take 3 questions.
medical student from here, and I'll be entering the realm of middle class being a doctor next year. And just one question that I want to know, that as a Malaysian overseas, how have you proposed that how the ballot system, postal ballot system is going to change in the future exactly for us, in terms of the practical side of things for us overseas students, and in short, for us now to vote or not to vote? That is the question.
Next question.
Hello, I'm Ambiga. Selamat sejahtera. I'm Dr. Muhammad Mesihaya, the Consul General of Malaysia in Melbourne. I have 3 questions to you. It's a bit short. The first issue is, I do agree with you that regardless of any political parties, they should be per se, totally. Okay? I'm a government civil servant, of course. I have to be a supporter of the government, the president. My question is, why yellow? And you know that yellow signifies crime and support, okay, of course. But why the color yellow? Because sometimes, like I'm a Malay myself, of course I'm a mixture of Malay, Chinese and Indian, of course. But the question is, yellow signifies something for the Malays in Malaysia. I'm not bringing race here, but just why yellow? Why not white? My second question is with regard to the issue of the post-electoral vote ballot system. Of course, the Suruhanjaya Pilihan Raya is trying to do their best, and we already nominated some of the Consulate General as well as the Malaysian missions abroad to become as a penolong pendaftar. But there are issues of the ghost voters. The issues of ghost voters need to be addressed. If let's say you open registration to overseas students or overseas workers or Malaysians, there will be a problem where you have not registered in your constituency in Malaysia back home, but you register your name yourself. Well, where are you going to vote? And then that will create a lot of problems. So the thing the SPR is trying to suggest is, go back to Malaysia if you have the time, register the constituency, come back and register as the overseas voters in the missions abroad. My third question is with regard to the Impunan Rakyat. There was an Impunan Rakyat last week in Malaysia, and I know Impunan Rakyat is with regard to some of the issues that the Malays are facing right now. And what do you think about Impunan Rakyat in your personal opinion? And what is the difference between Impunan Rakyat and Bersih? Thank you.
And I think we'll just take our friend in green with the sore arm.
Thank you very much. My name is Nick. I'm a medical school unit in Melbourne. With regards, as a past president of the Bar Council, you might be in a capacity to answer this question, in being in a law school as well. Judiciary being one of the pillars of the guardians of balance of power, and it clearly has been incapacitated and impotent since the sacking of Tun Sali Abbas. In what way do you think our judiciary system is heading to, and are you optimistic in what are the ways that we can help strengthen this and be more independent so that it serves the country and democracy? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will take the postal vote question together. The Consul General also mentioned that. The issue about constituency and so on, that's something that needs to be resolved, because obviously it has to go with your IC, the address on your IC. So I don't think it's a difficult issue to resolve at all, because that will be the constituency as I understand it. But it'll take too long to answer all the details about postal vote. But the situation is this: the infrastructure is not there for postal votes at the moment. But I do understand that the Election Commission is trying to set up assistant registrars and trying to set up the infrastructure for overseas voters. Now, when is this going to happen is the question. I mean, I really hope that they can do this before the 13th general elections. But I understand that the overseas voters are actually going to take this matter to court. I understand that there's going to be an application that is going to be filed in relation to the rights of overseas voters. So I wasn't aware that so many steps had already been taken. Am I right? Consul General, you were saying that there were many steps already taken by the EC, which is good news, which is very good news. Did you know that? It's good to know. Overseas voters, you all should know this, you know. You should ask these, you should find out. So when do you think that will be in place? If I could ask the Consul General that.
It's really in one actually, and the policy of SPR made mention of this issue.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, and I think you are aware of that as well. The question now is the Pronomo Pendaftar, some of them are NGOs like you all, back home in Malaysia. And then some of us also, there are some missions abroad. We have like 106 missions abroad. And some of the missions have been nominated by SPR as Pronomo Pendaftar.
Yes.
And Melbourne will be soon. Because we just established ourselves like 4 months ago. Okay?
So yeah, no, I think that is something we have to deal with. Alright, you cannot disenfranchise voters because you can't find a way of registering them. So that is certainly something that we have to deal with. Now, the other thing is this, that as far as postal voters are concerned, there are other issues. They also have to redesignate postal voters, because right now, only certain people are designated as postal voters. So for me, actually, the postal voters is not a difficult issue. Overseas voting is not a difficult issue. For example, when the Sarawak state elections took place, we had asked that the Sarawakians living in West Malaysia, because many of them are in lowly paying jobs, they can't afford to fly back to Sarawak to vote. So we said register them as postal voters so that they could vote in West Malaysia, but the SPR didn't. So in fact, many people were disenfranchised because of that. So really, at the end of the day, it's getting our act together and getting the process going, and I'm very happy to hear that it is on foot. So I think maybe, David, you should follow up and make sure it happens before the 13th general elections. Clearly, that's the intention. Yeah. So that's good news. The other thing is on the issue of yellow. I think yellow was the color in 2007 that they used, and we continue to use it. Am I right? You're suggesting that yellow is the color of royalty? Is that the objection to it?
No, there's no objection. Ambiga. I just said that what is better. For my opinion, what is better? It shows.
Sorry, it shows.
What is better?
What shows, you know, something different. Yellow sometimes it has a connectivity towards the Malays in Malaysia, and sometimes it feels so sensitive of the issue.
No one has raised that issue, you know. Sorry.
It's just a matter because the audience, it's a matter of the issue of the audience. It's also a matter that no one has raised the issue, but symbols plays a very important role as well. Symbols and insignia plays a very important role. So I would suggest, if you want to be, I would suggest, from my personal opinion, if you want to be clear or clarity, might as well we have white instead of yellow. Thank you.
Point taken, but. Sorry?
One is protected by MCA and DAB.
Right. That's the problem, the colors are all wrong. But, thank you for that suggestion. But I think it's going to be very difficult to change the color because it's so much Brazilian yellow. It's very difficult to change the color. We've all bought yellow t-shirts. We can't change the color that easily. Okay, but point noted. Your last question was on Himpun, and which was the gathering that took place recently. My own view was, and I was asked, what do you think about the gathering? And I said, well, it's their right to gather. That's what we were about. That's what Bersih 2.0 was about. And we, of course, have to uphold everyone's right to freedom of assembly. Now, so they held their assembly. They chose to have it in the stadium. The government supported them all the way. It was peaceful, so I have no quarrel with that. But as far as the issues are concerned, obviously, to me, that is something that we need to resolve as a society. I think you need to hear both sides. You need to hear those who have concerns about apostasy. You need to hear the other side. was there really any basis for them to say that they're overrun by apostasy? Was there a factual basis for that? And there are many issues that surround this, because I was also involved when I was in the Bar Council with looking at legislation in relation to unilateral conversions. You remember that, Mira? We had meeting after meeting, and in fact we were very close to coming up with a legislation which said that before anyone could convert someone into Islam or a child into Islam, both parents had to give consent. Or before anyone converted into Islam, the spouse had to be notified. So there were those things that were coming out. So we were very close to coming out with that legislation, but it never happened. So really, to me, it is not a question that can be decided in isolation to all the other issues that come out of issues relating to religion and conversion and freedom of religion. So to me, it is not just an isolated issue that you can deal with on its own. I know I haven't answered. To me, actually, we can sit and have a debate on it for 1 hour. No problem, because there are many, many issues. No, not in front of, it's not a question I can answer. All I can say is that we need to work very, very hard on this, and I think there's work already done, and I think we need to keep moving forward on that. And the last question on the judiciary, I thought I had sort of answered it, but yeah, we have a new Chief Justice, and we'll have to just see, because at the end of the day, I think the judiciary is critical, because if you remember the case of the refugees in Australia, the court stepped in every step of the way, actually. I think the court from the first level right up to the High Court were of the same view. They were protective of the refugees. They upheld human rights. They were not afraid to do that in the face of the government's strong stand in relation to that. And that is what I hope for the judiciary in Malaysia. And I will leave it at that.
Thank you so much, Ambiga. We've lots more questions out there, and I apologise to those who we couldn't squeeze in. We gave it a good shot, though. We've now come to the end of tonight's presentation, and it's my great pleasure to invite Dr. Amanda Whiting, who's the Associate Director in the Asian Law Centre responsible for Malaysia, who played a key part in organising Ambiga's visit to us here today, to present the vote of thanks. Thank you, Amanda.
Ladies and gentlemen, so as Tim said, at the conclusion of this evening's talk, it falls to me on behalf of the Melbourne Law School, the Asian Law Centre, and all of you to give thanks. First of all, I'd like to thank all of you for coming tonight. And for coming in such numbers, to hear Dr. Ambiga speak with such passion and eloquence about her concerns for the future of Malaysia, concerns which I know that you all share, and hope and optimism for the future as well, although I believe she tempered that somewhat. Secondly, I'd like to acknowledge the dedication and hard work of the Malaysian Students' Council Victorian Chapter, the local members and supporters of the helped organise the event, put together a rather daunting programme of speaking engagements for Ambiga when she's in Melbourne, Sydney and in Canberra, including the launch of the Clinic for 18 campaign, a Melbourne version at Clayton Hall on Friday. And there's more information about that outside if you'd like to speak to David, who's in the front of the Thirdly, I'd like to thank all of the people at the Melbourne Law School, our Dean, Professor Karen Evans, for introducing Dr. Ambiga for aiding in moderating the question and answer. And I want to acknowledge the hard work of every member of the law school who's been involved in all of the different aspects of the organisation this evening. The research assistants who organise catering, registration, and especially Catherine Taylor and Tessa Shaw, who've spent, I think, every day of the last fortnight in some way or other organising all of the events of today. So thank you very much. importantly, I'd like to call upon you to join with me in thanking Dr. Ambiga for coming here tonight to share with us her experiences, concerns, and her hopes for genuine democratic change in Malaysia. Dr. Ambiga. Free to go, but of course, the afterwards, I'm sure she'll